On this episode of Common Mystics, we are ushering in 2025 with stories of hope from some of our friends and listeners. I'm Jennifer James.
I'm Jill Stanley.
We're psychics.
We are sisters.
We are Common Mystics. We find extraordinary stories in ordinary places. And today's stories come from some of our friends.
Yay!
Yay! I love this, Jill. What a great idea.
Thank you. Thank you. Sometimes the noodles work in overtime.
Every once in a while. So what was your inspiration for this episode? Because this is your brainchild.
Honestly, it was a situation that I personally, and I know a lot of people that I've been reading for and just friends, had a real struggle in 2024, whether for different kinds of struggles. And even though it was one hell of a year, there were still good things or moments of hope that I wanted people to share and to remember as although there may be clouds, above the clouds, there's still the sun. And you just have to remember everything's temporary.
Oh, I love it. Well, I'm really looking forward to hearing these stories. And thank you to our friends and listeners who shared.
So first up is one of my longtime besties, Sonia Lozano.
Yay, Sonia.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you for being here. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Such a pleasure being here. I'm very excited. Yes, I'm Sonia, Jill's longtime best friend. I can't believe I was thinking about it today. We've known each other over 30 years.
I was thinking about it too. I was thinking just that. It's 32.
I just got chills.
Sure.
That is such a blessing.
That is
True.
such a blessing.
There's not too many people you could speak spiritual things about to without them thinking you're a little woo-woo. And you were like my friend that I could do that with.
Growing up.
We grew up in a Catholic setting, right? That something could be a little serious. And it was fun. Like we made it fun.
Right.
Does that make sense? And that is such a blessing.
I always say that it was our connection to our angels and to our higher selves and our guides, that how we survived being teenagers, because we were bad kids. We were bad.
We put ourselves in such grave danger, danger, stranger danger stuff.
Stranger danger, even walking the railroad track, Sonia, we could have died so many times. Like on any given day, we could have died.
So that's funny you say that, because I always tell people the way that I survived my teenage years and my 20s is truly because I had a connection to God right now.
That is a really good segue, because you are on as a guest today. Thank you very much, to convey a hopeful story that can bring hope to people in the new year. Because if you can find something in 2024 that brought you joy and peace in this shit show of a year, then that shit's going to propel you to 2025. So tell me a moment that you carry with you into the new year that had brought you peace. And I just want to preface this conversation with Sonia and I grew up Catholic. So our archetypes of deities and God and love and light is that through a Catholic perspective. But feel free to interchange our deities and the way we had grown up with whomever represents a higher power to you and your religion. So I just want to preface that. But please tell me, what was your moment in 2024 that you were like, you know what? It doesn't matter.
Is gonna get me through.
Yeah.
This is going to get me through this year. This is going to get me through this day. It's going to get me through the next moment. Because 2024 for me was very stressful and very challenging of a year. But there was also many blessings. So, and this being one of them. So my hopeful story starts with carving out time to be with God. And how I did that is, and it just kind of stumbled upon us, but we went to, it's called Adoration in the Catholic Church.
Who's we? You and?
Oh, me and my dad.
Cute.
Me and my dad. Yeah. It's called Adoration in the Catholic Church, and it's a holy hour that you spend with God. And there's other people there. There's the priest. I'll give you like kind of like a little background just so you can kind of get a visual. But us Catholics believe in the Eucharist, and the Eucharist is God's body and blood. When Jesus was here on earth, he said to his disciples, "This is was his body, and the wine was his blood." And us Catholics look at the Eucharist as a way to connect to God. It's a thanksgiving, it's a love, and that we get to connect with him every Sunday.
And we believe that the most connection we have to Jesus is right after we take the Eucharist, right after we put,
and it's here on earth. I mean, this is something that we can experience here right now in the now. So at adoration, they put the big Eucharist, the priest puts into a cross. Okay, a brass, huge cross. At first, you're like, what is going on here? Like, what do I do? And he puts it in there and he kind of blesses the congregation. There's no talking, it's just this visual. This is what I love about the Catholic Church, by the way, is our rituals. So the priest blessed the congregation. And then I was just sitting there and I'm like, what do I do? And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to sit in silence. And then as you sit there in silence, you become more connected. It's overwhelming sense in your soul and the words that come to mind to help you describe the feeling when you're in silence with just you and God is a sense of calm, a sense of peace, a sense of joy, a lighter feeling in your body. You maybe have been, like me, been carrying around shame and anger and resentment and a little bit of feeling of guilt. And those are very tolling. They take a toll on your soul, on your body, and you walk around kind of bitter.
Yeah.
But after this day, only 45 minutes of sitting there, one with God, all of that was lifted. And the feeling is it's such a powerful feeling. You're lighter. I left there lighter. I was smiling more. My relationships were more authentic. My relationships were happier.
So I have a question. You're in church.
Yes.
And this is the admiration. And so the ritual is you're getting the Eucharist, but he's not like the priest isn't rambling about like Bible verses. It's all silence. And then you're sitting there were you like in a meditative state?
No, you could do whatever you want. Do you want to sit down? Go ahead. If you want to kneel and pray, go ahead. It's whatever you want to do. If you want to just sit there like what I did, I sat there and I just stared. And I just let the feeling of the cross and being one with God love go into my soul, into my eyes, into my body. And after that, after about 45 minutes, you do pray a Sacred Heart prayer, the whole congregation together, and then we sing just our voices. And they give you a thing like a piece of paper to sing. And it's a very simple song, but it's moving. Like you get goosebumps and it's so healing.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone can go into the Catholic Church, even if you're not Catholic, you don't know what to do. Just sit there. It's the first Friday of every month called Eucharistic Adoration. Not every church does it, but you can do it for you.
To me, it sounds like when you were in that moment, and tell me if this is how it feels to you, is that your energy was uplifted into a higher frequency where the things that happen in this life didn't matter. And you felt one with the higher power that is love and light and God and spirit.
Absolutely. That's absolutely what happens.
Yeah.
And that's what I call a spiritual gift.
Mm-hmm.
You receive these spiritual gifts. That is something that no person can give you.
Mm-hmm.
But you can give it to yourself by doing these things.
My next question to you is that we grew up, you and I, to each other. We would call one another and be like, let me talk to your angels. I need your angels. I don't need my friend bullshit. I need angels right now. How do you know the difference between communing with your angels and getting information or that of communing with higher power and spirit and being one with that higher consciousness?
So your angels, it's a subtle push of guidance. It's almost like a friend. Next to them, you could feel that, like that subtle push, that guidance, like don't do that. And it's really a really low voice, but it's like this, by the way it feels, it feels good, that it's not a lower entity, it's your angels. Okay. God, it's a powerful feeling, a movement in your soul. It's an ascension to love. When you feel that highness of love, because that's the ultimate, that's what God is. God is love. That's the difference. Does that make
sense? It's a more
justiness in your soul, like but higher, like feeling like ascending.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe in words. You have to feel it. Now, another thing, this is a very important point. When you are carving time with love, with God, whatever you want to call it, for me, it's God. You have to have a sense of allowance, because if you're bitter and you're angry and you could do that, you could be that, but you're not. He's not going to come through. He's going to be waiting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You have to release. You have to surrender.
Surrender. And the people are like, well, how do you do that? It just happens because you want it. Want it. So for me, it was sitting there for 45 minutes and just waiting. And at first I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Okay. And then after like 10, 15 minutes, it's like, I felt this release. It's powerful.
I feel like you can tell the difference between like your angels and your guidance and your heavies on the other side, and then the presence of like a higher power, because the energy is more intense. You feel like you're in the presence of something bigger.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
I honestly feel like you were communing with the higher power of love. That's what it feels like. And
it moves you so much that you get emotional. It's another telltale sign.
I also like the fact that you are going to God instead of sitting around waiting for God to come and show up for you. You're showing up for God and being like, I'm here to accept the love that you have for me, regardless of who I am, what I've done, and where I'm at. So I really like that.
That didn't just come to me. I didn't just say one day, I'm just going to go to God. I literally have set time for God, even if it's 1 minute. At first, a few years ago, it was yelling at him and being mad at him for a while. Okay.
It's been hard. We've been through some shit, yo.
I'm talking like before COVID stuff. And then it was going back to church, because I stopped going to church, not on purpose. It wasn't doing anything for me. And then I don't mean to get into the whole or the sacraments, but then it's going to confession and being humble enough to look my sins in the face. I mean, I have to tell somebody my sins. You know how like shameful that is, and you feel like, ugh.
I do that with Jennifer like every week. Every week I'm on the phone with Jennifer confessing.
That kind of stuff weighs you down, and once you get it out, it feels so good. So good. So that's my hopeful experience, and it's something that is very near and dear to me, and it's something that me and my dad do together. And I will give this to my dad, because he has given me my spiritual, like, it's because of him that I have this, and I can't even thank him enough for that.
And it's because of him that you were in church that day, because you were going with him. You're bringing him to the adoration.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now I want to go. Now I'm eager to go, you know?
Are you going to continue doing this like every month with your dad, or more so? How often are you going to commune with God?
We just started doing this. I would say I did this 3 times. This year I devoted to myself that I am going to go every day this calendar, every Friday this calendar. Every first Friday of the month this calendar year. Yes, I am going to try to do that, because it's that powerful.
I love it.
For me.
Thank you. I love it.
Welcome. Thank you for.
I love the advice.
Story.
Will you come back and we can have fun?
I would love to have fun. Let's dig deep. Dig deep. Because, I feel like people need they want a grasp of something. And if there's something that we could offer that helps us, and it may speak to somebody else, I think we're doing what we need to do.
That's right. That's right.
We're spreading the love, and that's what you need to do.
That's what you got to do. Spread the love. Spread it.
Yeah. Spread the peace. Spread the joy. There's no reason people should be walking around in anger and feeling shameful We're all
Well, you know
human.
what? There are reasons for it, but there's no reason to stay in it.
Hang in, right.
Yeah, you don't have to stay there. You
Let
can
that shit
fight.
go. Let it
Yeah,
go.
just
And
let it
let
go.
us help you. I'm willing to help.
It feels like your soul was elevated and dusted off, like cleansed and then brought back to you. That's how it feels like. It's like you just dry cleaned your soul, and you're going to be doing that every month.
Apologies. That's so true.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. Absolutely.
So keep dry cleaning your soul.
Yeah.
I love you.
Thank you. I love you
Thank-
too. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
And now we're going to hear from a new bestie and my fairy godchild, Kelly and Annie.
Hi.
Hello.
I would like to welcome our special guest, one of my very best friends, Kelly, and my fairy goddaughter, Annie.
Say hi.
Hi.
Hi, Annie. How are you?
Good.
Good. The reason for this call is because you had a lot of ups and downs this year, and one of the valleys was losing your sister, Kelly's first daughter, Ruru.
You gotta talk, babe. She can't hear you.
Are you okay, baby?
She's being shy.
Okay, she's being extra. So this year, your beloved Ruru passed away. She was a member of the family for how old was Ruru?
You want to tell her? Yep, 12 and a half.
She was 12 and a half, and she was a dog. What kind of dog is she?
Labradoodle.
And after Ruru died, you were very, very sad.
Mm-hmm.
What brought you hope, even with Ruru's passing? You had a moment where you knew Ruru was going to be okay and that she was still going to be in your life. Can you tell us about that experience?
When we buried her, right after we got done, there was a rainbow in the sky.
And you took that as a knowing that she made it across the Rainbow Bridge?
Mm-hmm.
And do you still feel her in spirit when you miss her? Are you able to close your eyes and call upon Ruru to love you?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that happened this year that you feel like Ruru did for you after she passed?
You want me to share that? She thinks that our newest addition to the family, Coconut, our cat, was sent by Rue because she is super cuddly, just like Rue was. So Coconut gives Annie and all of us actually lots of cuddles and snuggles, just like Rue did.
Aw, so, and you specifically, on a whim, came over to my house. Annie was snuggling Phoebe, and she talked you into getting a cat that day. So you just went on the internet and you were like, hey, yo, does anyone know of a kitten that I can get on this Sunday afternoon? And you were led by a friend to Coconut's family, and you were able to pick out Coconut and bring her home for lots of snuggles.
100%. That's exactly how it happened.
So Ruru was there with you, and she's still there with you, and she loves you, and knowing that she's going to be with you, not only today, but in 2025, you can still feel her presence.
Very much, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Kelly, for coming on.
You're welcome.
Maybe you'll listen to this episode so you can hear Annie on.
Oh.
Oh, okay. That's good. Love you.
Love you too.
Bye, Annie. Love you.
Bye.
Next up on the roster, we have Natalie and Kylie. They are friends of the pod. They attended our retreat over the summer, and they were so excited. They felt spiritually connected and charged, and they have created ongoing conversations with their father and spirit. So let's listen to their story. Wow.
So with me today are Natalie and Kylie. Say hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hello.
And they're sisters, and we met them at our summer psychic retreat, and they decided to come on and share an uplifting spiritual story from 2024. So let's get into it. Who wants to start?
Well, I could get started. I'm Kylie, and Natalie is my big sister. And for her birthday, she decided to attend a retreat, and I weaseled my way into joining her.
We're glad you did.
And I did too. It was quite an experience.
So 2024, before the retreat, were you two feeling connected, disconnected? What made you want to reach out to us to come along and join us?
Natalie, how did you get started?
Well, I would say that when our dad passed away, I think that really brought Kylie and I together. It bonded us a lot closer. And then
when did your father pass away?
In January of
2021.
Yes, 2021.
Okay. I'm sorry for your loss.
Oh,
it's hard losing a parent.
It is. It is.
After we got our Spideys on at the retreat and we said goodbye, you had a series of synchronicities that you guys wanted to share, and it made you feel, well, I'll let you say. Go ahead.
Yeah, yes.
Well, from my recollection, we were on the drive home from the retreat, which is a few hours, and we were just, I think it was right at the beginning of our drive too. It was pretty early on, and we were just chatting about, about the experience and the different signs and signals and different forms of verification or confirmation that we felt like we'd been receiving on the trip. But we did have some questions, and there was a little bit of confusion in terms of who we thought might have been reaching out to us, or what might have been, what were the signs that we were supposed to be seeing, or who was saying what to us, was really like what we were trying to decipher on the trip home. And there had been some things that made us think that maybe our grandmother and grandfather had been, or one of them or both of them had been involved in the connections that we were feeling. And of course, there were a lot of things that made us think of our dad, but we were wondering if there was like a bias there where we just wanted so badly for it to be our dad, that we were kind of looking for something from him.
Let me see. So you guys leave us in Michigan after our retreat, and you guys are fired up. And I'm assuming, I hope you guys had a good time and you feel like you were getting validation that these things really are happening, but you're just at this point trying to decipher what's coming through and from who, right?
Correct.
Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, we definitely could tell that we were feeling things, and we knew on the trip, like each in our own, but then also together, we knew that we had been being sent signals of some sort. And so we were trying to think about like what might have been the message and who it might have been from. And then I saw a license plate and it said 157DAY. And I said, 157 day. And Natalie was like, what? And I said, that license plate, 157 day. I wonder if 157 day means anything. And so then Natalie started looking up 157 or 157. And Natalie, I was driving and she was researching. So I don't know the details of how that search went per se.
I've got some notes.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I, and this is how Kylie and I were working like the whole weekend, basically, is like Kylie and I were working, like Kylie would be like, she would pick up the clues and she would be instinctively like the intuitive one. I felt like she would know what clues to pick up on, and like I would be able to like research it. I felt like it was like we were working like
dots. You were the dot connector,
right? Yeah, we were intuitively working together, like
similar to the way Jen and I work. So
right.
Yeah.
So Kylie's picking up the breadcrumbs, and then intuitively Natalie's doing the research on it. So yeah, that's amazing because the research is intuitive too.
Yeah.
Just going through and seeing what's important. So
right.
It may not feel as fun, but it is.
No, I love it. So yeah, and Kylie and I, like, I mean, as we were driving home, I mean, we were pumped up from the retreat, like just we were blown away by what had happened. It was a profound and life-changing experience.
Aw.
And you
And
could
I
feel
mean,
the
yeah.
energy in the car when we were driving home. Like I could feel like in the car, like that intense energy where it was like, I just knew like this was a really big deal, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
The next 2 episodes are going to be the retreat episodes. So we're going to do the
Oh,
Nashville
awesome.
episode, and then we're going to do a recap of the retreat and what happened with your notes and stuff. So we're going to get into that.
Oh, I've got to get to my notes.
Yeah, yeah. Please, I have to
Definitely.
research. But yeah, so definitely we will get into that. But so that makes me feel so good. So you guys are feeling the impact. I literally felt like I was energized just having so many psychics in the space.
Oh.
I felt like for days afterwards, it was like electricity.
Yeah,
Like a residual
absolutely.
effect. So that makes sense. So you guys are driving the car 157 day.
Yeah.
Natalie takes the
Yes.
research. What does that mean?
Okay, so I just put in 157, and it symbolizes growth, exploration in the context of love, and the journey of finding true emotional and spiritual harmony with a partner.
Love
And
it.
it's like with a partner, like Kylie and I as
Mhm.
partners, you know, it's like the two of us are like on this spiritual journey together, and we're like trying to figure out if we're going to go and work on this journey together on a project. And you know, the whole weekend was about whether or not we should dive into that. And it was just like, you know, basically telling us, you know, it was like kind of giving us that answer in that number. And
I love it.
yeah, and then like a powerful, meaningful number that indicates new beginnings, positive changes, and spiritual growth. And I thought that was pretty profound. So then Kylie goes, well, what does 157 day mean then? So I'm like, well, that's a good question.
That is a good question.
I
So
thought it was like maybe a holiday or like had some sort of spiritual significance of some sort, you know, like I was wondering if there was something even deeper to the profoundness
right.
of the license plate.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Right? Yeah,
Or even
right.
like, I think my initial thing too was like, okay, well, what does DAY stand for? Like, I thought maybe it was an acronym of some sort. So I was like, my brain was thinking of like people's names that start with D, or like, you know, like that was what my first initial thought was. And then I was like, well, I wonder if it's actually a day. And then Natalie went to look that up.
So I put in 157 day, and I thought that maybe it meant something. Well, all I got was Google calculators. Like it tells you to put in the day, and and then it'll tell you like in this many days it is. And it was like every single option was a calculator, like timeanddate.com. And so I was like, well, I think Spirit wants me to do that. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that. So I put in today's date, the day that we were leaving the retreat, which was like August 10th or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the 10th or 11th. I
The
don't remember.
11th. Yeah, it might have been 11th. And, you know, hit calculate. And it was January 15th of 2024. And
Was 157
2025.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 157 days from that day. And it wasn't clicking to me what that meant. And so I told Kylie, I'm like, Kylie, you know, it was giving me calculators. So I put in 157 days, but it just gave me January 15th, 2025. I don't know what that means.
Which is coming up.
Yeah. And Kylie goes,
and I said, Jesus, Natalie, that's when Dad died. That's the anniversary of our father's death. That's January 15th.
And we both went,
That's
oh my God.
Yeah. Like, and I think we instantly knew right then and there, like if we needed confirmation or verification that our dad had been there on that trip with us and was one of the people that was helping Spirit guide us, that was it, right?
Yeah.
I absolutely
And
love it. How did you,
yeah.
after that experience, do you guys still work with your dad? Like, how are you bringing this full circle and using your
Yeah,
Spideys to
for sure.
connect?
Well, I know that for myself, I have been asking Spirit to send me animals.
I
For
love it.
whatever reason, I feel like that is one of the things is I have some sort of a connection to animal life. And ever since then, well, first, I seem to have a hawk friend that is following me around Southern Illinois.
I love
Um,
it.
But the first time I saw said hawk was the morning I had asked for Spirit to send me an animal. And I was like, oh, there's my animal. It's this hawk in my neighborhood. Great. And then it was not too long later in that day where I was walking out of a very busy pharmacy next to a very busy road and heard the desperate cries of a tiny little kitten that was stuck in a burr bush in a storm. And I don't know how I heard it, but I crawled into the burr bush and rescued this 5-week-old kitten.
Oh, baby.
Now
Oh,
we
my
have
God.
Princess Penelope at our house, and she just rules the roost.
I love it. Oh, my gosh.
Kylie, you know how you said that you thought that it was part meerkat or something? Like a
Yeah,
big
meerkat, because she stands on her hind legs.
maybe it's part bobcat.
That's what Rich says. Not thinking of our dad Bob, but
yeah.
of like actually a bobcat. But
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
call it
gosh.
Bob
Either way,
sometimes.
it would be so cute if it was a bobcat even for your dad. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yeah.
Because that's what my dad's been doing for me is so I asked for my dad to come back in, you know, the form of animals. And the very first time I think it was the first time, the very next day, I didn't know what like animal for him to come back as. I'm like, you know, just surprise me, Dad. And this cute little bird, it was like the cutest, most adorable little bird. It looked like a quail, was outside on the front porch. And it was like the most friendly little thing.
That you'd
And
never seen before.
yeah, never seen this bird. And we have all kinds of little birds at our house. And it was like very docile. And I took a picture of it and I was able to do like a reverse image search of it. And it was a northern bob.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Something.
Bob White or something.
Yeah, northern bob white. And like, and then I found out that my husband had taken a video of it earlier in the day because it was so different than the birds around our house. Like,
oh my gosh.
He had videotaped it chasing it around our yard. And so that bird had stayed around our yard for like months, just hanging out. So, you know.
Will you guys share the pictures of Princess Penelope and the northern bob bird? I'm going to look it up.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
That's amazing, you guys.
Well, and I have to say, Natalie has a bird app where she listens to birds to see what kind of bird she can hear. And I had just decided to download that. And as it was downloading yesterday, I walked out and I was going to try it out. And I walked outside my house to literally like 100 birds in my front yard. Dozens and dozens and dozens of birds just flew out of my front yard into the trees. And I didn't even end up using the app because I was so floored by all of the birds. But then I went to the pharmacy after, like, I cashed in some lotto tickets. I had some cash from my trip to see Natalie, and I had some cash in my wallet. And I'm at the pharmacy, and I decided I'm going to count it all to see how much money I have. And I shit you not, it came up to exactly $157.
Oh my God.
This morning, as I was preparing for this meeting, I realized today is January 5th of 25, 157. Today is 157 day, just to let you know.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
isn't that crazy?
You guys, no, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So there is no doubt just meeting you guys that you have abilities and that you guys are using them. And I cannot I cannot express to you how grateful we are that you joined us and that you're a part of our podcast family. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, we're so happy to be here.
Oh, thank you.
And
And
I
I
can't-
feel, Jill, I feel like you are part of my soul family.
I feel like
And-
that too. I feel like the similarities between Jen and I and you two
Oh.
are just crazy. Absolutely crazy.
I feel like that too. I was
Yeah.
listening to the episode last night, and it's incredible. Like the youngest and the oldest, and Kylie and I lived together after like in college, and we fought. We fight often.
Yeah.
And,
Who doesn't?
And we even fought over like other siblings, being, in part of,
Yeah.
yeah. And, just very similar.
Even the fact that you guys bonded and became like a united front in the process of your dad transitioning is the same thing that happened with Jen and I. It was through our mom dying that we were like, okay, we know we can work well together. We know that we are stronger together. And so I look at you guys and I'm so excited to see where this journey takes you next and all the good that you're going to be putting out into the world, because I know it's just going to multiply.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you
just
so much
excited.
for helping us get our little jump start into this adventure. We really, I feel like that was, part of our destiny.
Oh yeah.
I feel
For
like
sure.
just even you two were the last sign up attendees, and just the fact that in the very last second, and we decided, yes, we'll bring them on. It was such a synchronicity just to have you guys there and be a part of it. And I am so grateful. I just really am, because watching, Jen and I do this in a vacuum. We don't get a lot of feedback. We get emails, but to see this working, not only for us, but for other people, it lights a fire. Like, this work is about the voiceless, but it's also about inspiring people to keep moving their paths forward. And I love working with you guys. I just love it.
I love working
Well,
with you.
your
And
work with finding voices for the voiceless is quite inspiring, and is part of what has inspired us to go down the path that we are on. So
I can't wait to see pictures of the baby kitty.
oh my gosh, there's so many pictures.
I can't wait. I'm going to post them to Insta, so send them over.
I will. And Natalie's got pictures of you should send her. I don't know if you can send the bird stuff too, where you can all the birds that have been showing up on your bird app ever since you've been asking for Spirit to send you stuff.
And shout out to Bob. Shout out to Bob being so strong in spirit, like showing up in real ways. And what's funny about it is that before the point of contention was, but who is it? And now your dad is like, oh, I'm going to make sure that they know exactly that it's me. So he
comes up strong in numbers. Like he changed the numbers on the cash register the other day.
I love it. Even the change in Kylie's pocket.
Old lady.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Strong. Thank you, Bob. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being a part of this. And thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Jill.
And last but certainly not least, Ryan, our best friend, our brother, our family. He has a story that he wanted to share of hope and how spirit showed itself to him in unusual ways. Hey, honey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Ryan, and I am Jill's best friend.
It's so true. So tell me, the shit show 2024.
Yes.
Give me the moment of hope that you're going to carry in to 2025. And can I say, how are you feeling about 2024? Am I projecting, or how is your 2024?
No, 2024, while it had some good personal things, it's a very ominous problems around us in our world and the environment. And it's hard. It's hard moving through it.
What was a moment where you were like, oh, and then something wonderful happened?
So I had a really cool thing happen. I walk my dogs pretty early in the morning, like 6 a.m. So it's dark at parts of the year, and here it was in the fall, and there was a lot I was seeing about the thinning of the veil of the year, that time of year. You know what I mean? When you go into fall in October, close to Halloween, yes, All Hallows Eve. And it was in October. I wish I knew exactly the date. I could look it up because it was during the full moon. That was, I couldn't tell you the moon. Hunters,
like the harvest or hunters?
Probably hunters. It was in October. It was so interesting because I was like, okay, when I was reading about the thinning of the veil and it's stronger during a full moon, we were having that. It was a really big, the super moon. You know how it's closer to the earth and it's everything. And so I don't know. It was showing me a lot of that through social media and that sort of algorithm, stuff. And I was like, is that really, how it is, and I'm a pretty spiritual person. And for me to kind of wonder about that was a little surprising to even myself. But anyway, I go on this walk and
so it's 6 o'clock in the morning.
It's 6 o'clock in the morning. It's dark. It is dark at that time of year. And I have my dogs. Yeah, there's 2 of them. And they like to pull and go different directions. And I'm always correcting them and whatnot when we walk. I started noticing a lot of peripheral vision movement going on. I kept thinking it was animals. It took me maybe 1/3 into my walk, which is a 2-mile walk. It takes about 40 minutes. And it took me probably 1/3 of the walk to realize that these peripheral visions movements are actually spirits trying to communicate to me, and which has happened in my life. Like when I need to see something or need to pay attention, that's usually how it's presented to me.
You're very clairvoyant. Like you see some shit. Yeah.
Sometimes it's clear, but usually it's when it wants my attention, it seems to be peripheral movements. What's interesting is it kept showing itself to me, and what I actually feel like it was different entities, which I thought was interesting. But I would see it in a dark corner, or it would be like just under a light post, or and I would feel in different sizes. Even there was one particularly on the back of the loop of Chapel Hill over here, and it was along this part of a yard that is really dark, and in my peripheral it was a massive entity, or just a presentation. It scared the shit out of me. Like I looked over and with my flashlight thinking there was going to be a big deer or some other animal, and there was nothing there. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is really happening. And so I think the fact that it scared me, I had to I just gathered myself no, this is a good thing. This is a really good thing. And then I got this overwhelming sense of my mother who was passed.
Oh.
And it was like she was with me, no words were said to me or anything. I just could sense her. And maybe that was, okay, you're safe. And then I realized on my walk, the meaning of it is that was my answer to my question earlier, that this is real. Like as far as this time of the year, it can be very active, and that I'm not alone when it comes to, I guess, spiritually. It's
right.
It's there for my use. It's there for
your comfort. It's
for
there
my comfort. Absolutely for my comfort.
And if you're not feeling connected, it's because you're not paying attention.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's something you've helped me work on, you know what I mean? And I kind of knew in a way all along, because I was a very much more allowing it space in my life.
Right.
And it's still something that I work on, but it's very interesting. And so it gave me the hope that I'm not alone, and that I have that,
and you just have to ask for it and allow it in.
Absolutely.
I will say, I think it's something everyone struggles with, because it's hard not to be the pandemic, everything that's going on in the world, wars, mass killings. It's hard to think oh my God, how can we be hopeful? How can this actually happen in this world? You know what I mean? And then and believe that this whole wonderful spiritual love dimension really exists in a world that is just adjacent to it. You know what I mean? So it was a hard year.
Absolutely. And that spiritual world is the one thing that connects every single one of us. You know, and if we can find connection and community through spirit, I think that would be a beautiful thing.
I love it.
We think so smallly as humans. I think, you know, there's a bigger picture, and we're a part of it.
I believe you're right. And I think remembering that no matter what personal struggle or social issues going on, is just to remember, like, we don't know why the purpose is. We don't know the final results, and everything is temporary.
Absolutely. Yeah. If we can remind ourselves, we can get grounded pretty easily if we were just to allow it, you know, not give anger the space.
Yeah.
Not give hurt the space. It's hard. I understand.
Yeah. Yeah, for real. But I love you, and thank you for bringing joy into my life and coming on to this podcast and talking with me.
I love you too.
We should do this more.
I
love you.
I love you too.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed these stories, and check us out in Detours, because I got a funny 2024 story that I'm going to share, but Jennifer didn't want me to put it on this one because she thought it was inappropriate.
Sometimes you're inappropriate, Jill.
Sometimes you're inappropriate, Jennifer, and I find it funny. I look for those moments.
Hey, but if anyone else out there has other stories they'd like to share with us, let us know. You know where to find us.
Yep. Check out our website, commonmystics.net. Follow us on all the socials at Common Mystics Pod. Email us at commonmystics@gmail.com.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. This has been a Common Mystics Media production. Editing done by Yokai Audio, Kalamazoo, Michigan.